She's good.
What about you?
I'm good. I'm going.
All right. We are now live. Welcome to the Windy City Review. I am your host, Queenie Green, and today I have alongside with me, you know, the guy that's best man over there, Mr. Paul Collins, Ninth Ward Collective. And today, our special guest today with us is Mr. David Peterson. Welcome for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invitation.
And Mr. Collins,
Okay.
best man.
Thank you, Queenie. As always, we want to give a shout out to Sour Patch Media for sponsoring us and sponsoring the Windy City Review. As always, the views and comments expressed are not necessarily those of Sour Patch Media or Windy City Review. We have to say that. That's the legal stuff.
Yes, definitely. This show's a little mild.
Yeah, a little bit.
Compared.
So today, there's so much going on. But as you know, Windy City Review is all about Chicago politics and how it comes to you. So I want to kind of stay off of Trump's impeachment and all other stuff, because as a historic and landmark as that is, when it comes down to the people of Chicago, that's what we're trying to affect. That's the information we're trying to, bring out. So having said that, let me thank Peterson Jr. for coming to the Windy City Review. It is my pleasure to have you here. We kind of reversed roles earlier this year, I think. Yeah, at the beginning of this year, when I was running for political office, Mr. Peterson set up a debate between me and the other candidates, and it was just a interesting thing to be on stage and have him directing everything. And I mean, he is a master tactician when he's directing things. And so he is the founder and president of Randolph Dreams Community Development Corporation. He is also the president and executive director of the National Lake Randolph Pullman Porter Museum. And Mr. Peterson, if you'll give us a little bit of your resume and then go into at least these two. I know you have multiple things going on, but we really would like to talk about these two things and how it affects the Pullman National Monument and how are we getting any love from them for you. So please.
Yeah, definitely. Well, once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be here. It's definitely a blessing and an honor to be a representative of our courageous ancestors. First and foremost, so shout out to them, to the forefathers, who basically lit the fire in me consciously to do this work. I moved to the Ninth Ward Pullman community, North Pullman to be specific, in 1989. Wow. With my family. And I actually graduated from high school in 99, and then I moved to Florida and came back in 07. So I've been in Pullman in the Ninth Ward, for some years. Okay. And we started out moving there because my mother was in the real estate development. She was a single mother. I had two older sisters, and she was actually an entertainer by trade. Really? She started singing when she was like 14.
Okay.
So
that's hot.
That was naturally just the environment that I came up in. So when we moved to Pullman, I actually used to live on 48th and Hyde Park. So you all know the differences between those neighborhoods.
Oh,
yes.
So as a young kid, I'm like, wait.
Yes.
What's going on here? All my friends, because I was one of the less well-off friends in my Hyde Park friends. You know what I mean? So it's like, when I moved to Roseland.
But you were still in Hyde Park, and then you go to Roseland, like, wait a minute.
So
culture shock.
Yeah, it was culture. I mean, like my friends on the block used to tease me, like, man, they got a money machine in their basement. Just because my mother had some development properties, they didn't know she was getting them dirt cheap, rehabbing them. You know what I mean? And just that was her way of life.
She was original flipper then.
Absolutely, original flipper.
Okay.
So, that then morphed into 1995 into actually founded the Phillip Pullman Porter Museum. So my two older sisters weren't necessarily as interested as I was. I was the baby boy, so I was right there with her. So when she was going on doing development and flipping, I was the one after school. My friends got to go hang out and play basketball. I had to go to development sites with my hard hat on.
Oh wow, he sounds like you're growing up exactly like my son, right?
Yeah,
right. My girls, they don't really care much for it, but my son, he's like always right there with me. He's got the camera.
Yeah.
It's the baby boy.
So you can learn a lot through osmosis.
Yes.
Definitely.
And mitochondrial DNA.
Yes.
You know, it just was in me. You know, so as I got older and it was time to major and stuff for school, you know, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to do urban development. I want to do urban planning. You know, economic development. And that was my passion, you know. Messed around and slipped up one semester and read Miseducation of the Negro.
Oh.
There it is.
There, yep.
And Destruction of the Black Civilization, you know, in the same quarter. And my mind was blown. I dropped out, like, no, I don't need this, you know. So luckily, I wound up getting back in and finishing. You know, I came back home and I was ready. You know, so as soon as I got back home, I went re-entry. So I was working with ex-offenders, working at a jail, you know, helping the guys get reacclimated to the system, helping them learn soft skills, you know, helping them get jobs and things of that nature. We were in the Grand Boulevard area, the low end, 47th Street,
Okay.
right across from Roosevelt. You know, so that was actually that was one of my first contracts. You know, we had a security contract with them and a maintenance contract with them at the Roosevelt.
So what year was this?
This was in 07.
07. Okay.
Yeah, so before they, you know, really started, you know, doing everything, I had an opportunity to work with the ancestor, Bobby Johnson. She was a very courageous woman who really led the fight to keep that building alive.
Yes.
So they actually have a room in the new building, in Roosevelt, named after her. So shout out to her. Shout out to another ancestor, Joseph Watkins, who was actually my first mentor, called Joe, when I got back. And he started, you know, an organization called Saving Our Seeds. They were actually,
I remember that.
They were actually, they started off as VOTE, Voice of the Ex-Offender. You know, so all of these guys kind of grabbed me up when I was fairly young, you know, a decade or so ago. It really just imparted in me the things that I didn't already. I mean, I already had a lot coming to the table, you know, but they gave me some more spices that I needed, you know. So fast forward until today, you know, after I actually took over at the museum in 09, you know, my mother actually, you know, created the succession plan for it to kind of do that, because she was kind of worried, you know, that she didn't create a effective succession plan. So I'm just sitting there like, what do you think I've been doing all this time, you know? So she was okay. So I took over, and you know, here we are. So.
So now for the people that may tune in and people that may catch this at a later time or a later date, for those that don't know where that is located, can you give us the location of the museum, and can you elaborate on the West Pullman area? Because what I've learned just over the years, you'd be really surprised that the residents of Chicago don't know the divisions.
Let me tell you,
trajectory of that. They don't know the division of the city. They don't know the wards, the districts. And so, you know, how I always do. I'm here to almost break everything down in the most layman terms as we can, so the community can understand totally, and we can empower them that way. Because I think right now, with what's going on, is our communities just need more knowledge of self.
Definitely. Give me some hands on that. So, for what you're saying, I've lived in West Pullman for 25 years. 25 years. It wasn't until I started doing stuff in the political structure that I even found out about the museum. And I'm ashamed of myself for that, because I should know more about the community I live in. But this is a dogged race that we're running. It's so hard to just pay your bills and just keep your head above water that oftentimes we don't have the time or the patience to go and find and discover what's so grand about not only the city of Chicago, but our own neighborhood.
Right inside of your neighborhood.
I mean, and I've been to the museum since that time, and I'm like, okay. One question, I know she wants to break down where the museum is, and that's important, but I also want to put the comparison with your mother and everything you've gone through, and I know you've gone through hell with that museum. Do you find it comparable to what DuSable went through?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. I mean, no.
First tell us where we're located. Where's the museum? Hours, times, dates, things like that.
Yeah, so we're at 10406 South Maryland, right behind Corliss High School, right across across the street from Butler College Prep. For those who don't know about the CPS public school split up. They actually occupy the same building. But we're in the historic district of Pullman. So the historic district of Pullman and West Pullman are a little different. West Pullman was a new subdivision that was created many, many years after Pullman to entice more people to move to this side of town. The Roseland Township, if you will. So, but the historic district of Pullman is from 103rd Street to 115th Street, Cottage Grove, which are IC tracks to the Expressway Bishop Ford. That's the historic district of Pullman, which is actually ironically broken down into two different census tracts. A lot of people don't know that. So you got 103rd to 111, you got 111 to 115th Street. So 103rd to 111th is the predominantly black side, the lower income side. It's also the educational ecosystem. You got Winthrop Smith School over there, Edgar Allan Poe. You got Corliss High School, Butler College Prep, and Olive Harvey. And then like right on the other side of that, right at 95th, you got Chicago State University. So you got all of these schools right there. So that's, and then Gateway State, of course. So that's where all of the attention and the energy really is. But most of the resources are spent on the predominantly white side of the which is where you have more homeowners, more conservative. On our side, there's more transient residents. So just there's a comparison and contrast in the way that the neighborhood is well kept. Because when you're not a property owner, you don't necessarily care. So on our side, every single time I pull up to the museum, I gotta go out and pick up trash off the ground. We drive down on the other side, people don't do that. Everything's well taken care of and all of that. Now, don't get me wrong, we have bungalows over there. A few homeowners over there that keep their blocks nice. Place that's one of the oldest block clubs over there. That's a well kept block, but most of the time, it's not really well kept. Most people who come to the museum, about 80% are even black.
Yeah.
Wow.
People who live in the neighborhood, ironically, walk right past them. We got parents who live across the street, park their cars in front of the museum.
Now come back to that. Come back to that because there was a point for a couple years I did back to school drive over at the Bronzeville Children's Museum. And it was like my heart cried at talking to Miss Minnie and understanding that what she is in need of, the assistance she's in need of financially, and just to know in that area, she has some really just walk-in visitors. Schools are coming in for field trips and things like that, but the neighborhood. And so I want you to come back to that and touch that again, because that's something, like Paul will piggyback off of what you talked about, is we have historical, monumental, educational, empowering buildings, sensors, and situations in our communities that we just don't get involved in, we don't know about. And that's the biggest problem within not just West Pullman, that's the biggest problem I would think in our community as African American community in a whole. We talk about not having the resources, not having the things that we need for our progress, but then those things that are there for our progress, we don't indulge in them.
We're victims. Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Definitely.
So at the end of the day, when I was 14, I was blessed, with knowledge of self. So one of the older heads handed me Behold the Pale Horse.
Yes.
I was short,
yes.
And I was a member of something called the Circle of Unbroken Cipher. So I became a 5%er when I was a preteen. And I've been studying that math since then. So when I first read that Circle 7, when I first read all of the literature, it taught me about who I was as a society. It taught me about the mathematical breakdown.
Well, we don't learn in our public schools.
So that's purposely not taught.
So we don't understand that 85% of us are in the dark by design. 10% are enlightened and using that power to control the 85%.
Yes.
Then you got us. You got the 5%. That's on the front lines and trying to enlighten our people.
Yes.
Because we have the knowledge and we want to give it back to the multitude. So with that being said, everything that we see out here is a byproduct of that. The fact that we have jewels right in our neighborhoods and we don't even care about them. we're literally trained by design to be in this rat race. So by the time we get off work, by the time we do whatever, we don't even have the interest to get into the community, to learn about this. We're just, you're just doing everything by automaticity and response, just on a day-to-day basis. And it's unfortunate. And those of us, who are elected officials, in the neighborhoods, or our quote-unquote leaders, they're simply byproducts of the system as well, whether they be black, white, purple, dotted, or spotted. Unfortunately, the majority of the time, it's people that look like us that keep us in the dark.
Yes, yes.
The majority of our adversaries at the museum for the 25 years that we've been open have been black.
And that makes absolutely no sense.
No sense.
And it's sad. You would be surprised at some of the divisive, clandestine attempts to undermine and just erase what it is that we do there. Dr. Lane, he was the founder of the Pullman Museum, misogyny, decades of being belittled. Who do you think you are to start a museum? You don't know nothing about a museum. She said, okay, yeah, but I put my own money in and made it, so we'll deal with it. So it hasn't really been until recently, very frankly, that she's been able to get her just dues, because she's had me in the background standing there. She was almost alone for a while. So with me around, it's a little different.
Okay.
I'm not taking no shorts. I'm not laughing when it's not funny.
So my mom is my best friend. My mom, I am blessed to still have my mom. It's my best friend, and we talk about everything, and especially what we do, whether things are good, on a good note or on a bad note. You have to be very careful the things that you speak on, who you speak about, because it may go around. So mama is my everything, because when I need to vent, I need to have that conversation. I don't want to go anywhere. It's with mom. And my mom and I, we sat down and we had a real good heart-to-heart about the differences, because what I do and where I am in life, my mother is terrified. I know Tyrone Muhammad. I'm Tyrone Muhammad's co-host on Tuesday night.
That's a good brother, right?
So I sit every Tuesday night with Tyrone. And Tyrone's radical. It's and then just with the years that I've been on the radio, I've been now a radio personality for about 5.5 years now. And I've always felt that the reason I was given the gift of gab is now I've tapped into, because that's what I need to get out. And that being said, my mom, she's always so, I don't know, because she don't want me to get Malcolm X. She don't want me to get, Martin Luther. And I had to sit my mom down and explain to her, Mom, these are different times. And we are a different type of people. We're a different generation. And I have to tell you, because as of now, I don't know if anybody's coming with a shackle for my neck and telling me they taking me off anywhere with a shackle around my neck, because we probably gonna tear the place up. We're different now. We don't stand for.
That's good and bad.
It's good and bad, but I think our ancestors, they had more fear in not being able to say not, because they were so worried about being lynched. They were so worried about what was going to be taken away from them, versus us. We're like, look, no, I'm tired. I'm speaking out.
Let me interject real quick too, and I'm glad that you said that, because see, that is the result of revisionist history, right? People will only put in the forefront the stories of those who were martyred. The stories of those who failed, right?
There were so many more.
But here's the deal: the museum that we represent. This is America's first and only Black labor history museum. Once again,
say that again, buddy. Say that again.
America's first and only Black labor history museum, founded by Black people, not funded by city, state, or federal funds, but Black owned and Black managed. Right? We represent the legacy, the history of Phillip Randolph. He was the president of America's first and only Black labor union, which was the first one to receive a charter on the American Federation of Labor. So he was born in 1889, but didn't die of natural causes until 1979. See, he was once labeled by the U.S. Attorney General the most dangerous Negro in America. This was back then, right? So they were able to form America's first Black labor union in 1925, and they had to wait to receive their charter on the American Federation until 1937. Right, so I say all that to say, these are the gentlemen that started the civil rights movement. Because he was
Yes.
talking, he was talking economics in
Oh,
25.
From
Yes.
the beginning.
Yes.
So before we were talking about civil rights and I want to get along, I want to sit down and eat with you. I don't want to eat off your plate if you're going to spit in my food. If you don't want me at your lunch counter,
I don't want
to be there.
That-
Right? So he was all about self-preservation. Ironically, he was a Republican. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to do all that with y'all right now. But you know what I mean? These brothers, they knew what they was about. And they knew that the only way that they could be successful is if they band together and pool their own resources. They were so powerful and strategic in their methods that they had a ladies' auxiliary of their unit, which was all of the sisters, the wives, the women representatives of that family, who organized for them, raised money for them, so that they could basically keep their jobs. Worst case scenario, if they got caught, they could say, "No, that wasn't me. My wife was actually the one who bought it. I was actually right." So I say all that to say revisionist history cuts off different pieces of our story, because what these brothers represent is organization. In 19, we always, what's the first thing you think about when you hear about the Rosa Parks and Montgomery? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
First thing, she wouldn't get up off the bus. But I know history, she wasn't the first.
She wasn't the first, right?
There was a young girl who
there was a young girl, but now here's the kicker with that.
NAACP, things like that are things that come to mind.
Right. So here's the deal. Her boss was E.D. Nixon. He was an ex-Pullman porter, member of the Brotherhood of Student Car Porters Union. Right? He was a representative in Montgomery, Alabama. So he was also the president of the local president of the NAACP. So when she was arrested, she called her boss. He called a Phillip Randolph, his superior of the union, and they were able to raise $92,000 to fund the boycott, get her out of jail. Then they went around trying to find a reverend. Okay, who can lead this march? All of the pastors were scared. Like, nah, get away from us with that. Here come Martin Luther King, 26 years old. He said, "I'll do it." So at that point, they grabbed him up, molded him, then pushed him out there. So 1963 March on Washington that we hear about, and you just think it just happened. That was all A. Phillip Randolph. He was elder in that space, and he mentored all of them, and got them ready to go. And then he was supposed to be the keynote speaker, but in his wisdom, he said, "No, let me put this young brother out here. Let me push him out there." And the rest is history. But they're not going to tell you that backstory, because what that backstory represents is organization.
Yes.
That we're not supposed to know how to do.
And we're not supposed to understand. We're not supposed to imitate that and implement that in our modern everyday lives.
And he was only able to do it because he could walk on both sides of the tracks. He had white labor people who were supporting him, and he had black people that were supporting him. You know what I mean? He could walk on both sides, but in each one of those sides of the track, he remained consistent in who he was as a black man fighting for his liberty, his liberation in this country. You know, and that's what we need more of. We need more people to understand that you can win. You can fight the system by simply being organized.
Yes.
You don't have to necessarily run out there to the chopping block and put yourself in harm's way just to be seen, because a lot of that is vanity. You know what I mean? I mean, like my thing is let's build.
Yes.
So like, yeah, I could run out there and protest and all that, but after I get to the negotiation table, where are the demands? Hey, Phillip Randolph, he was able to sit down with a sitting president, President Roosevelt at that time, and force this man to sign an executive order. Executive Order 8802, which banned all discriminatory practices in the armed forces and work-related fields. Right? Our people now can't even get no executive order done. And with Obama in office.
Amen.
That is true.
Amen.
You know what I mean? And he was only able to do that because he was very strategic. And when Roosevelt was sick, Eleanor Roosevelt was taking a lot of the speaking engagements. So he was able to kind of finesse her. And then she was like, you know what, I'm going to yield my time to speak, and I'm going to let this brother speak. And when he spoke, people were like, whoa, they were blown away. You know what I mean? And then after that, the rest is history.
Now,
we don't know.
Right, and I know, Paul, I know you have all your key pointers. I know what you're going to get into, but I want to spend just a little bit more time on the museum, because I'm definitely coming. So I'm gonna need you to talk these hours, and what I want you to talk to the communities right now about is what's offered at the museum, what can you receive being a part of what the museum has to offer, because at this point, so I'm new to the Pullman, the Roseland. I'm new to the area. I was a North Sider. I've stayed on every side of town in Chicago, but in my latter years with my children, I raised my children on the North Side. But once I became conscious into tapping into what I feel that my Creator needed me to do, my services were not really needed on the North Side. My services were needed on the South Side where my people were. So I'm new. I'm about five years or so new to the area. I've never been. And so it all kind of worked out today because I didn't have class today. So it was perfect because I was like, I didn't know that you were attached to that museum. I definitely want to bring my son. If I can round up as many of the teenagers and the young kids in my neighborhood, if I can round them all up in my truck, I'm bringing them over. So real quick, and then we'll let Paul, we'll do a little bit of station identification, and then we'll let Paul get into Paul's topics. But I'd like for you to elaborate and tell us about the museum. What are we coming into? What can we receive? What knowledge can we receive? What's there for the community to learn from?
Well, we preserve and interpret African American labor history. So basically, you have information there about the organization of the movement. You see, to the general public, the Pullman porters are just the Pullman porters. That's what back in the day, whether your name was Larry or Hank, they called you George. They looked at the Pullman porters as pieces of machinery. When Phillip Randolph came from Harlem, New York, and then organized with these brothers here in Chicago, he brought was their ability to become men. See, it was in 1925, August 28th, at the Elks Lodge, New York, that they organized. They had their first meeting there, where the brotherhood was started. And what he said to them at that time was, what this is about is making you master your economic fate. And he appealed to their manhood so they understood that you're more than just a piece of machinery. So most people tell the story of the Pullman porters. We tell the story of the brotherhood of supercar porters. You know what I mean? And that's what we take great pride in. So there, you can learn about how they organized, what they did after they organized, what they went through, all of those things. And then we have a descendants registry. We have over 10,000 descendant supporters all around the world.
Wow.
Who used to be, who are related to people who worked on the railroad. So you have a lot of famous descendants. Taraji Henson, her great-granduncle was Matthew Henson. Actually, was the main navigator that founded the North Pole. He was a Pullman porter. Michelle Obama's grandfather was a Pullman porter. Whoopi Goldberg, she's a descendant. Tom Joyner. All of these different people that you would never even really know. Robert Townsend.
It makes sense, though. It makes sense why they have the positions that they have, because as you said, it's from unconsciously inherited from our ancestors. So we kind of adapt. Because I've started some years ago doing my ancestry research, and because I'm like, okay, I need to know. Of course, that's going to inspire me more. It's going to inspire my children more. It's going to inspire you more when you find out that you come from greatness. And that's the thing as far as with the school systems and things like that, that I feel, in our communities, our children need to know the greatness that they come from. And I think the reason why right now things are the way they are is because our young adults right now, they are believing that they are coming from, social media. They're coming up from up under the rappers, and nothing against rap. I have a rap station, but it's still there's greatness that we come from, an elevated level of greatness that we come from, and so I think that's something that's big that we need to know.
Indeed, I mean, because just historically speaking, you got to think of it. There was in Africa, you had Wasset, later then called Luxor, then Mali, where the 7 liberal arts were already being taught. Massa Akbar, Massa Musa's predecessor, he came over here in 1511. 1311 or 1511 with 25,000 people from Mali, to the Americas. So we've been over here with the presence. We brought the people out of the dark ages. But we just, we were slaves and now we free.
Yeah.
No, we was were scientists, we were architects,
Yes.
we were engineers, we were all of those different things.
That's what they got to
Before
tell
that.
people.
Well,
Like,
because
they didn't steal slaves from Africa. They stole architects, doctors,
they stole
scientists,
greats.
farmers.
They stole greatness, you know,
Right.
and because when you look over in history in our schools, our history books, they tell us that, you know, Alexander Graham Bell, and they teach us that these certain names is what invented this. This is what started this is what that. And what they don't say is that, I want to say at least, and I might be wrong, but at least 85% of who we are taught in school that invented this and invented that, it was actually their Black African-American either slave or assistant, or it was them that actually came up with the technology, but it was that Caucasian that got the credit for it.
What'd you call it though? What is that called? His story.
His story.
His story. Because now it's amazing that we have to pass laws to try to get them to teach our history. And then that's been rejected. Like, and I think in North Carolina, they rejected it. It's a shame that we have to have laws where they say, oh, the natural hair that grows out of your head, you cannot discriminate against somebody. Wait a minute. You have to have a law for that? That the hair that grows naturally out of our head, you have to have a law saying you can't discriminate against people for that. So again, it's his story. And his story, as Brother Peterson has said, his story can only be great when he mitigates our story.
Like, think about it in terms of, once again, going back to the brotherhood, right? These gentlemen were literally the ones that created the Black middle class. Because, you know, during the Great Migration, which started in 1916, went all the way to 1970, we had 3 different waves. So during that period of time, we had 7 million Blacks in the South looking for a better life. 500,000 came to Chicago.
Yes.
So during this time, we had Samuel Policy King, Sam Young come here, right? Policy King Young, right? These are the brothers that started the lottery down in the Bronzeville. That was once called the Black Belt. Parkway Boulevard, now called King Drive.
King Drive, yes.
So all of the guys that were investing into the businesses, starting the businesses, supporting the businesses, the majority of these guys were Pullman boarders.
So they started running. They were running numbers, and that's how they came to the actual lottery.
Exactly, and then it was taken from them by the Italian mafia, and then the mafia got taken over by the federal government, and now you got it in the gas station.
Every place, you got it every place.
Right.
So it's just unfortunate because, you know, during that period of time, you know, this is where these brothers were buying these houses. So while these brothers were on the train smiling and being disrespected, what the people that they were smiling and serving didn't understand was they're eavesdropping on their conversation. So you got prestigious bankers and lawyers and doctors, all of these, you know, very, very prestigious gentlemen riding the trains. And while they're riding, they're talking about their business endeavors, and the reporter's like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. So when they go home with their money and they count the money with the family, like, no, we're going to start us a business. You know what I mean? And that's how a lot of those businesses were started, because they weren't allowed to live in Pullman. Oh, no. It wasn't until the late 60s that Black were able to live there, post-Plessy versus Ferguson. So, you know what I mean? You know, a lot of people say, yeah, that's where the Pullman boarders live. No, they did not. They worked there, but they weren't allowed to live there. But it's more convenient to make it seem like it was just this utopian neighborhood where everyone was welcome. Because, I mean, that's the flavor of the month now.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, you always want to try to, you know, pimp the history and culture for their own well-being. And that's why people really despise what it was we were doing until recently. In 2015, when Obama came to Chicago, right to Gwendolyn Brooks High School, and signed an executive order naming Pullman Chicago's first national park service site. So we didn't have a national park in Chicago until 2015. And that's directly impacted by the work that we were doing at the museum. But of course, everyone else wanted to take credit for it, and even trying to exclude us, from the process. I mean, I literally almost had to sneak in to get in.
Wow.
And in his speech, all he's doing is talking about the history of the borders, the history of Phillip Randolph.
And we'll elaborate a little bit more on this, but that brings me to right now what the rat race and what all everything is about with the legalization of marijuana. This is another situation not here for us. And, you know, and of course, coming so closer, we're approaching the 1st of January, and I cannot say it enough time to my people. If you think, because I see, you know, we're on social media, you know, you have conversations, and people are literally thinking that this legalization of marijuana means that you're just now, it's just a free-for-all and everybody's just walking down the street smoking weed, just in their cars, and you will go to jail. This is not a situation, and I've had so many conversations in the last few months, you know, with us being involved in, you know, involved in the expos and finding out the information and speaking with these different officials and all the different people that are involved in this legalization of medical cannabis. And I keep hearing everybody's like, you know, I can't wait till the first. And I'm like, no, if you think that this is, because this is another thing that it's being publicized like it's here to better the situation for us, but it's nowhere near. It's not for us right now.
The whole thing is though,
because they just recently at the city hall.
Yeah, the black caucus tried to get up at the council, and they wanted to hold the legalization for what, I think 6 months.
Hold it off because there are no African Americans that hold licenses. And
I hear that, but you know how I am. I'm gonna look at it from a logistic point of view. If you want to be in the game, you got to know the rules, and you got to pay attention. So for my thing, I don't hold any animosity toward anybody trying to do better, but it's not like they said 6 months ago, we're going to legalize cannabis. This has been known. John Boner, who was the Speaker of the House of Representatives, when he stepped down, that was the first thing he started doing. He started talking about it. He was like, oh, well, I have a new company that's going to be distribution. So there has been a long time frame for people to know that this was coming. If the Speaker of the House starts a company like that, you know, he knows full well what's coming.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of, our elected officials they're lazy. At the end of the day, people don't like to research and do no work. They want everything handed to them. So just like what you're saying, we knew that this was coming a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh, more than that.
Yeah.
Ask everybody on that caucus who's standing up trying to pontificate.
There you go.
There you go. Now, how many community workshops did you set up in your ward to educate people?
There you go.
How many of those public dollars, TIF dollars, menu budget dollars, all of the different ways that the money is broken down, how many of those dollars were allocated to business incubation for their license? We're talking about 2,500 non-refundable in order to fill out this application. 13 racks.
5,000.
Yeah, $13,000 just to get the license, right?
Why is that 5,000 for the application?
Businesses in these specific boards were incubated with some of these public dollars. How many courses were given, you know what I mean, that were put out in the public domain for people to be educated on the process. So I mean, it's bigger than just getting up and profiling now saying, no, we don't want. There's no equity. There's no equity because nobody was prepared for this.
You didn't position yourself, or for the alderman, you didn't position your ward, you didn't position any of your state reps, any people that you go out and you vote for constantly.
Yes.
What have they? Let's go back to Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately? Don't sit up here and, like you said, pontificate and let's get together and you want to hold us off. Wait a minute. This is not new. John Boner, let's see, you got Nancy Pelosi been there for 2 years now. She was there for 2 years before that. Then you had the Republican guy, get the young guy, he lost his position, so that's 2 more years. So right there, we're talking 6 years. So why don't you talk about at least 6 years ago when this man said, I'm going to be starting a cannabis corporation. When the Speaker of the House says something like that, you should already read the writing on the wall that that is coming. And Chicago, and I believe you and I, Queenie, we went to Chicago State when they did this big expo. And I said on film, I said, as much as this has been used against our community and put us in prison and taken us out of federal housing and done all this other stuff, everybody should be here. There were so many empty seats.
Yes.
That morning, I got there early. I called Queenie. Queen said, I'm on my way. And all these companies, David, when I tell you there were, 20 companies there? At least 20 companies that were going to have distribution and all this other stuff. None of them were black owned.
So like I say, I'm not one that points out Because once again, I'm a descendant of kings, queen. You know what I mean? So everything that we need to know is right in plain sight. Ain't nothing that we can't get access to. And what we can't, they used to say, if you want to hide it, put it in the book. We don't even got to read a book no more. We could push
go
Google.
Right. Yes.
Tell me about this, and bam, there it is. You know what I mean? So we are afforded the luxury of finding out whatever we want to find out. We have been conditioned to be lazy. We're not studiers. We're not researchers.
And to take what's given, take what's said to us, believe it. Take what we see on film in front of us, believe it. Take what we're given to read, the bare minimum. And unfortunately, we're okay with the bare minimum. But then you'll hear all too many times our people talking about, you know, the resources. We don't have this. We don't have this in our community. We don't this. And those things are in the community. We just don't take advantage of it. Along with, you know, I'm one, like as you said, when it comes to pointing fingers, I have to get on everyone's case, not just the politicians. Not, you know, Tyrone seems to think sometimes I'm taking up for them, and it's not that. It's just that I think everyone is to blame, because as much as a politician is to blame because of what they are not doing for their community, the residents in that community are also to blame because they are not doing the research to understand what their options are, what their rights are, as you said, as far as, you know, the beautifying of our neighborhoods, things like that. We have to stand up better for ourselves. And before we can, you know, we can definitely get on. They are the politicians, the political figures, the activists, all these different people. Everyone needs to be held accountable.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to point outward than inward.
But at the end of the day, they're not your aldermen. It is what it is. They're not riding down every single block. I mean, they probably should, but at the end of the day, they have work to do too, and they're not. So if whatever's going on in your neighborhood, what things that you need changed, we need the community also to give a damn about the community. We need you to care about your own, you know, you have to take care of home first. And so, you know, I talk about this all too much because there's a lot of times, yeah, we get on everyone's back, but I know from what I see, my community is pretty well kept, and, you know, over by my neighborhood is pretty well kept and everything, but when you hit over those tracks, it is what it is. And it's because the people, it's not just because Justin Slaughter, our state rep, is not doing his job. It's not, I mean, we got our things, whatever, with Mr. Bill. It's not, but it's not just them. It is also the people in the community that just don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because, you know, at the end of the day, there's too many of us too comfortable talking about what everybody else ain't doing instead of what they are doing. You know, I mean, we need more of what we are doing conversations.
Just like David's catchphrase is, let's build. And I believe in that thoroughly, because one of the things that I say is, one of my questions when I was out campaigning was this: do you need something in your community? Like, what do you need? And they go, well, I need this. Well, if you need it, it's a good chance that your neighbors need it too. So why don't y'all get together and open up a store and do that? Let's build. Build up your own. If you build up your own, you don't need to go outside of your neighborhood. And that's what a big thing I believe in. So for me, for instance, sometimes in order to build, you have to tear down. So like on 117th in Michigan, I don't have the exact address. I was horrified as I was driving by. I saw a building, and I could, at the stoplight, or stop sign, excuse me, look up, and I can see through the window, I can see the roof caved in. And I made a complaint to the city. And I made several complaints to make sure they came out and they looked at the building, and they finally said, we got to demolish the building. That was 6 months ago. The building is now gone. But it's not on my block. It's nowhere near me. But that's a hazard. It's a hazard for anybody who has to drive by there. It's a place that they can take some women, kids, do whatever. They can also hide drugs there, do whatever there. It was a hazard to the entire neighborhood. Why was I the only one who spoke out? And I don't even live close to there. But it's about
because it's not a problem. It's not a problem, you know. And from what I feel with our people, and because I see this in my house with my children, I didn't do that. So it's I don't have to touch that. I don't need to fix that because I didn't do that. You know, if my son did something and my daughter didn't do it, she's like, you know, like she can't walk past and pick up the piece of paper because you see that it's out of place. It's not mine. You know, I don't own that. I don't own that property, so I don't care. It's not benefiting, or it has nothing to do with my world, so I don't care. And I think that's the biggest problem in our community. We seem to feel that and not understanding that we are all in this together, whether you like it or not. We are in this together because this fight is our fight, and we're fighting against each other, and we all want the exact same thing, you know, from the higher ups all the way down to the on the blocks. We all, as a community of African American people, we all want the same thing. We came from the same thing. So I think we need to get away from not caring because it's not my problem. You know, it's not that's not my building. So, and you can live across the street. But because that's not your property, you don't make money from that property, it's not jeopardizing or assisting your life, it doesn't matter.
But see, that's why I have superior respect for Brother Tyrone, because my introduction to Tyler's the brother taking bricks and throwing it through the window of a Chinese nail shop. Now, I don't know if you know Brother Tyrone, his hands ain't manicured at all. So I know he wasn't going in there. What he was doing there was defending our queens who go in there, and the young sisters who go in there and get disrespected.
Well, there was a couple situations where whatever transpired between the Orientals and the customers, they put hands on the women and kicked them out.
Right.
And that's just not, you know,
that's unacceptable.
That's unacceptable. That's not how you conduct yourself in business. That's not how you conduct yourself with your customers. But they come into our communities.
But now let's hit on that. Just like Brother David just said, strategy. Why is it? Who are the most clientele that these shops have?
Us.
Sisters.
And they're not one. I just rode through Chinatown yesterday. There is not one.
There's no black on anything.
There's not one nail. There's not a Korean. There's not an Oriental nail shop in Chinatown.
They don't need to.
They don't.
But here's the problem. They hold the market. They have cornered the market on the hair and the nails.
Same thing with the liquor stores and things like this. All of these things, nail shops, everything that we spend our black dollars on are more plentiful in our neighborhoods than the schools are.
Well, see, and you hit on a point.
Before the school.
But see, you hit on a point. See, I'm not one, and I occasionally take a drink, but I'm not really one who thinks liquor store is something we should invest in, because that's to our detriment. Mm-hmm. We don't need, that's part of the problem. We take that stuff into us, and it messes our mind up, it messes up our spirit and everything else. So I'm not a big believer in, well, we should own liquor stores. I think liquor stores in our neighborhood should be put out.
They should be scarce.
They should be very scarce.
I know the liquor store not far from where I am, it's open before just about all the schools. In the day, and
what's sense of that,
I don't understand why a liquor store will be open at 6 o'clock in the morning, but you know it is what it is, because I think there's someone who's going to be in line at 6 o'clock in the morning to purchase and we've been brainwashed. Once again, this goes back to the brainwashing of our people. We've been brainwashed to soak our problems and our confusions and soak that way instead of the research to make our issues better. Right. We'll drown it in these things, and it's diseased the community to the point where 15 people speaking on it is not going to change it, because it's diseased the community to the point where there is almost no comeback from it. So this is what we're facing.
We don't have a sense of family anymore. I mean, and it's every generation it gets worse and worse and worse. Now, I'm pretty sure up here, I'm probably the oldest one on this panel. So
Yeah, you said graduated about 99, so I think we're about the same age. That's
Yeah, okay. I get what you're doing, Queen. I get it. All right, no problem.
So yeah, Paul, you about the oldest.
But
that's a blessing, though. That's a blessing.
Growing up, and I don't know if you two experienced this, but every parent, every adult just about on my block had permission to whoop me. And it was like, and the thing about it was, if they would whoop me, I would say, okay, you done whoop me, please don't tell my mother. Because now, tell my mother you had to whoop me, oh, I gotta get it. I gotta get that. Yes. And I was looking up, my father was in the house, she gonna tell that monster. What?
And if they didn't whoop you, you just had the respect to straighten up when they walked past. And, you know, you had the respect of helping, you know, I use Miss Mary.
You just said the whole thing.
Helping Miss Mary with her grass and helping Miss Mary with her lawn and helping, you know, it was, well, I know when I was growing up, the community was a community.
It was a community.
When my grandfather mowed the grass, he mowed our grass, my neighbor on this side's grass, the neighbor on this side's grass, and you know, it was a community, and now in our community.
But we have to build it back up. That's why one of my focuses is getting the youth in my area say, hey, look, and I don't teach them anything I wouldn't teach my own sons. And I tell them, look, this is where you lay your head. You got to show proper respect for where you live at. You want to live in filth? When you said, your child said, it's not mine, it's not my problem, I didn't do that. Don't matter. It's in front of your house. Dave said when he comes up, get up every morning out in front of the museum, he got to pick up trash. It doesn't matter. And this is what we have to re-educate ourselves. It doesn't matter that it's not my trash. I had to pick it up. I didn't put it down there. We're going to pick it up.
In the first place.
It shouldn't be put down in the first place because the thing is, do you want to live in filth? The same amount, we don't get the resources in our areas on the south and west side that they get on the north side. We don't get it. Like the budget for the street cleaners to come by. How many street cleaners do you see in the north side in the downtown area? Almost twice a week.
Now to that point, a lot of that is based on the tax base in the neighborhood. So,
yes.
So you have more resources based on the fact that the people in the neighborhoods are earning more. And that's why, you know, just as many stop the violence or all these campaigns that we have, we need economic development campaigns.
Right.
I mean, because, you know, our people are in areas where there are several jobs, but they don't have the capacity to work those jobs because they don't have skills or trades. You know, back in the day, they had home ec, they had shop.
Yes.
We don't have no trades in our community.
And this trade,
that was
trade
purposely
schools,
done.
training, you know, and I know when I was growing up, you could go, I remember my sister, you know, I remember my sister taking me to, it was the Armory at a point, and that was on the north side, right. Taking me to the Armory. And I think she was doing like a resume, you know, my sister's about 9 years older than me. So she was doing like a resume class or course or something like that, getting her resume in order. I was a baby for the most part, so I was playing, but I can remember the Armory, you could go there and get certain type of resources or trainings and things like that. We don't have, you know, we don't have that. And like, I know in where I am,
we have it,
but it's not being,
it's not.
We don't know the community, either the community doesn't know about it or they know about it, but they just don't, it's not a necessity in our lives at this point. Well, because we've been brainwashed to think that our clothing, you know, these trinkets, these things, this is what we look more to than what we need to progress our lives or whatever.
We look down on hard work. Like
yes,
just look at when you get off the expressway, right? You see the old men, they got product to sell, hand over fist getting that money, right? And our young guys, they walking up to the window with their pants down, saying,
"Asking for some change,
get a couple dollars, or let me beat on this bucket, and that's supposed to be enough."
Yeah.
No, that's not enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good deal.
Yeah.
But it's not enough though. This older guy, what's the difference between his generation and your generation? He know. Let me go get this product. Let me make my profit. Let me go get me a peddler's license. Let me get into this entrepreneurship. For us, we don't have that same level of hustle in us, even in the street, right?
Well, it's hard, the younger generation, because they don't have to do any research. We had to think.
Just think, even in the street, the young guys now. When I was growing up in the 80s, everybody, like, you looked up to the hustler in the neighborhood. Now they looking up to the shooter in the neighborhood.
Yes, yes.
So they'd rather be a shooter than go make some bread.
And then also, I know what I see a lot. I see men that are 40s in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, and they are, you know, sharing war stories, or they want to be glorified for their OG-ness, you know, with the young brothers. And I'm serious. They want to, you know, because that's what it is. You know, you hear that I'm an OG and this things like that, rather than back in the day, you had men that you know, you had both sides. You definitely had the men that were putting the young men out there, things like that. But you had more of the older men taking the younger men under their wings and, you know, teaching them things. As of right now, social media, and that's what's raising our babies. There's no, what I feel, there's no distinction in the age groups anymore. That's one of the biggest problems in our community, because as of right now, you've got between 12 and 50-year-olds listening to the same music, watching the same things on TV, wearing the same clothes, wearing the same, and there's no distinction. I know it was a distinction. My mom wasn't listening to what we were listening to. Now we all kind of turn it up the same thing, you know, and it's I think that's the biggest part. We've connected everyone too much. We've given the youth too much power. And another thing, if I wanted to know something, like you said, growing up in the 80s, we wanted to know something, you had to go your butt over to the mantle where the Encyclopedia Britannica was, and like if you wanted to make a bomb, it was going to probably take you a week or so, because you had to go and get each book to figure out which one. Now these kids, they're lazy as I don't know what, because they don't have to do anything. As you said, you can go and Google it. You don't even have to type it in. You can talk to Siri and tell her to go look up what you need, and you don't even have to read it. She'll tell you what you want to know. So we had to think more. We had to think more. We had to do more. We had to strategize more to get things done. They don't have to do that nowadays.
I mean, our sense of community is gone. I mean, you know, like the village mentality.
Yes.
Because people could demonize street organizations as much as they want to. But in the 80s, we had structure.
Remember the Guardian Angels? I remember the Guardian Angels.
We had structure. We couldn't be outside before 3 o'clock.
Yes, yes.
It wasn't no doing no addictive drugs. It wasn't no selling no drugs. You had to be in school on point.
And I don't care if you didn't.
School. I mean, we had rules. We had policies.
Yes, if you stayed out of school that day, and even if it wasn't because you were bad, or if you had a doctor's appointment and you didn't go that day, you were not allowed to go outside or you weren't allowed to go to the store. You weren't allowed to do anything until after school hours. Nowadays, I see these kids, and they're, you know, along with the schools that were closed down, things like that. But you know,
and then it was consequences. It was consequences.
Yes, yes.
So, you know what I mean? Let's say any of these laws or policies that were set forth weren't followed. Then the next day in school, you wonder why the guy coming to school with a big old pumpkin head. Because he's in a room full of elders. That, you know, you got young people, but you got elders in that whole little organization as well, saying, look, I'm the one that's showing you how you're supposed to be living out here. Now, don't get me wrong. You had people that took things, exploited people.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And distorted the young minds. And, you know, once they got to their place in the county or penitentiary, they had to answer too. You know, for those things. You know.
But you had a great group that took more care about the community. Now, I know we can talk about the community. We can talk about the actual issues all day, every day. I want to talk a little bit more about, I know we haven't hit all your cards.
Not even one.
I know we have not hit your cards. So I definitely want to know what your key pointers are. And I know you did some work with city council, things like that. So I'd like to hear more about that as well. I'd like to hear more about what you do and what you're doing in the community, what you would like to see done for the community, and where you are at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Very seldom do I talk about the problem. I try to stay solution oriented. You know, So our solution to all of our problems in the community is what I call the Community Economic Development Empowerment Project. And what that is a neighborhood stabilization plan that we put together, full of phases that basically give us a capacity to self-help and pull ourselves up and take more ownership in our community by increasing property development and ownership, by increasing skills and trade development, by increasing, just incubating businesses, all of these things, and our window into that is through tourism. Tourism is one of the major driving markets in Chicago. And a lot of the times, we see that Black culture sells, but we're not the beneficiaries of that. So that's why, at the museum, we're ambassadors, global ambassadors of our cultural economic development. And what that does, it gives us the capacity to benefit directly from our history, heritage, and our culture across the board under the tourism and hospitality industries. That's our main focus at this point, creating as many resources and opportunities for our people as possible, so that we don't have to continue to talk about what somebody else isn't doing. We want to empower those who have the capacity and the initiative to do things by connecting them with the resources. So we waited for decades. We talked about what they ain't doing, this and that, this and that. It's time for us to stand up and do it ourselves.
Okay. Reaching out for that purpose, I have this, which is from the some little information. This is citing Lynn McClure. She is the Senior Regional Director for the National Park Conservation Association. I'm sure you're at least somewhat familiar with that organization.
Yeah, and I know Lynn.
Okay, so according to this article that I got, and I pulled just specifically for this evening tonight, last month, and this, I don't know the date on this one, so it might be a little bit older. It says the National Parks Conservation Association in the Chicago chapter of the I'm thinking ahead of time. It just says American Institute of Architects published Positioning Pullman 2.0. It's a plan that builds on their original Positioning Pullman document that described 33 projects that residents, business owners, and supporters hope to accomplish. Are you familiar with this project?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is this project inclusive of your museum?
Conceptually, not in terms of resource. They boast about $50+ billion that have been spent over there.
Correct, 56 million.
Yeah, but not one red cent has been able to hit the museum.
So
I'm not saying that in a complaining manner, because we actually have the opportunity to work with a couple of architects from AIA, American Institute of Architects. But it's just unfortunate, that they don't automatically say, okay, how do we help the existing entities that are here that are clearly struggling? How do we use these resources to help them? That's not really necessarily what the narrative is. The narrative is, okay, this is what we're doing. This is a big deal. And as a matter of fact, let us take a little piece of what you guys are doing over here to enhance what we're doing, so that it makes it look like we're more inclusive, so that it makes it look like we're doing more than what we're doing, as opposed to saying, well, we see these people over here in this corner struggling. They've been here 25 years, not funded by city, state, or federal funds, so clearly they're good stewards over what they're doing. We're not paying a mortgage on our building. We own our building flat out. You know what I mean? So they're not saying, okay, how do we take just a little bit and then push something over here in the form of a grant? They create these unnecessary loopholes and benchmarks that people have to follow in order to get funding for these different things. That's the only thing that I would say. I do appreciate the innovation that it's bringing to the neighborhood, because it's putting us on the map in a more global way. It's creating more opportunities for us to take advantage of if we plug into the system the right way. But it's too hard for us to benefit from the existing resources that are there. And that's my only gripe with the entire situation. Because we genuinely need, at our museum, we hire like 20 kids a year, a season when we have the program, to come work at the museum. This year we teach about urban planning, economic development.
Well, I'd like to know about that. I would love to know about that. There's a lot of children and a lot of teens in my neighborhood that are just walking around with nothing to do. So we need the information.
And see, that's good business, because it further goes on as what you said earlier about how they take the name. So it says here, the center will include exhibits about George Pullman and his Pullman Palace Car Company, the planning and design of his model town, the history of often strife-ridden labor relations and the story of the Pullman porters who worked in sleeper train cars across the country. So right there, it's mentioning it, but ain't no funding going to you for it.
Yeah, I mean, because here's the deal. Before we were there on that corner, there was no one else talking about the story of the Pullman porters. You know what I mean? I've had an opportunity to sit on stage with Prince Harry and speak about this.
Okay.
You know, and you would just think, as opposed to trying to take a little bit from us and then put it over there with you to bring more people there, why don't you just enhance what's already there? I mean, we've been able to maintain on a shoestring budget. You know what I mean, for decades.
Right. And you're still there.
And we're still there. So as opposed to coming in and saying, okay, yeah, we're gonna take it, and we've had to fight for years about this, very frankly, you know, appropriation, cultural appropriation. I mean, because it's out of control. You know,
I agree.
and every time we speak up about it, oh, we're the problem. We're the troublemaker. But what do you expect us to do? This is our bread and butter. People come from all around the world to come learn about the history that we uniquely tell at our place. So you taking a piece of it and then putting it somewhere else takes away from the need for them to come to us.
Right. Because, but again, the little part they're taking is not the story. It is one sliver of it. Just like you indicated earlier, the structure, Asa Phillip Randolph. We're not going to talk about Asa. We're just going to talk. There was it a documentary or a movie? I think there was both. There was a documentary called 1,000 Men Named George.
10,000 Black Men.
10,000 Men Named George. Okay. And then there was also there was a movie about A. Phillip Randolph. And I love that movie. Didn't get a lot of acclaim. And you don't hear about it.
10,000 Black Men Named George, that was actually produced by a descendant, Robert Town. You know, so that was a very accurate account of what went on. A lot of the descendants and existing porters, they all vouched for it.
Okay.
So that was a real good piece right there. We actually sell it at the museum.
Okay. So now I didn't know that.
We gotta take a field trip.
We're going to do a field trip, but here's a question. Here's a question for you. And again, I see things and I throw things out there. There's a art store. It's on Michigan Avenue, like on 30. I want to say 34, 35th.
Yeah, Southside Community Arts Center.
Southside. They don't get a lot of plug. They got some wonderful artwork in there.
Absolutely.
They sell. You can join memberships. Does your museum have memberships?
We absolutely have memberships, and during the winter season, we're closed for general admission, so you have to pre-arrange your tour, just RSVP in advance. You can do that right on our website, PullmanPorterMuseum.com. Actually, on February 25th, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary. But so for us, we do pre-arranged tours during the winter time, and we have special events, and then we open up just for general admission Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 11 to 4 on April 1st. But other than that, you can come out whenever. You just have to make your appointment in advance. And during the summertime, we have a lot of community events. We have our annual Juneteenth parade festival. We have over there. So all of our events are free for the public to come out. We have a parade through the neighborhood, just waking people up, letting them know, look, this is what's going on. Ironically, it goes on during Black Music Month, so we're always excited about that. We have our Honor and the Brotherhood event, which takes place in August, which celebrating and organizing day in the Pullman porters, the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car porters. And then we always have events at the museum from time to time, just community events, free events. This year we actually just had our inaugural Health and Wellness Food Festival.
Okay.
At Gateway Stadium. So that was the first time we did that because we wanted to have something free, but we made it fun to come out and learn about bettering yourself, eating healthy, having all resources to the doctors and things of that nature. Because in our community, we suffer from all these different ailments that are preventable if we just switch up our diet a little bit.
Oh, definitely.
We literally live in a food desert, you know what I mean? So I shouldn't have to go pay $10 for a healthy taco, and then the guy down the street, he gave me a heaping amount of food for just $5. We can't expect us to not eat like that if that's what's all in our price point.
Well, I just recently, and I want to give a shout out to my girl Akila for introducing me to the local market on Jeffrey.
Yeah.
The new local market on Jeffrey. We went. I was like, okay, let me get out of here. Because I enjoyed myself because the prices were great.
You ain't told me about it.
The Jeffrey Mall, the local market is open now. It's only been open for a week, a little over a week maybe. don't know. I'll park and we get in yours, or you park and we get in mine.
Okay.
But they, you know, what I really enjoy is just, you know, that it's not African American owned. You know, because I kind of watched what I definitely know, whether they were the owners or I watched the Caucasian. There was like three Caucasian gentlemen that were kind of walking around. You could see that they were like looking inside of cars, and they were there to see what people were purchasing. What, you know, there's things, you know, a lot of different things on sale. You know, I'm kind of one of those people that's like, that's on sale. The eggs are, you know, usually $3 something on sale for $1. Why? You know, they, oh, why? Sales going on. But more than anything, for the most, what I saw is finally there's a real grocery store, because, excuse me, that's one of the things, thank you. That's another one of our communities that people don't really understand. All of everything ties into the attitudes, the of our community. You're not eating correct. You're not eating correctly. You know, if everything about you is chemically induced, all of that ties into mental health. All of this, what we eat, all of this ties into what's going on in our communities. And in our communities, we don't have adequate grocery stores. We don't have adequate food. I know I did some research over the summer, and I know from all the way from I want to say the Aldi's that is like 115, I think, and Halsted. From there, I went into the Aldi's, I went into the Save-A-Lots, I went into the Jewels, I went into there's a grocery store over on like 103rd and King Drive. I went to every grocery store from 115 to the Walmart 111, Walmart on Evergreen, all the way up in 87th Street, the Jewels on 87th Street, and you got Food for Less and all that over. In none of those grocery stores you find a seeded watermelon. That was just some I did over the summer. None of these grocery stores you can find a seeded watermelon. Everything is a seedless watermelon.
That's because they give you like Frankenstein food.
Which we know this is clone, you know, these are clone foods and things like that. This is what you see given in our neighborhoods. You know, the meats are not fresh. All of our vegetables, everything in our neighborhood is not, it's not adequately good for our digestion, for the just progression as far as mentally and everything, and all of that comes into that. And I was really happy, and I was just speaking on that market, because I was really happy. For those that don't know that the market is there, it's in the Jeffrey Mall over on what's that, 71st Street. Is there. Go check it out. Things are on sale, but there's a grocery store now there for you, because in that area all they have is Jewels.
South Shore just opened up a grocery store, they not?
Yeah, that's the one she's talking about.
Okay,
yeah,
so that's
that's the one I'm talking about.
And that's wait, think about this. We are celebrating because we're no longer a food desert.
Right.
And that's only
but think about
one
that.
of the
Think about that.
communities.
We're celebrating
Yes.
that it's no longer a food desert.
Yes, and that's a problem.
Why does that make sense? That we should be, now that's something to protest. There's no grocery stores, there's no fresh foods, our communities are slowly being suffocated.
And it's going back and talking about the dollars and what's there for our communities. That, you know, these organizations are pushing agendas pushing so-called agendas for the empowerment, the uplifting, the bettering of our communities. But the simplest thing like that of a grocery store, community centers, things like that, trade centers, we need these things.
Well, like
how
David
many
said,
people on that caucus are standing up saying, look, all our communities cannot be food deserts, but you want to stand up and talk about some bud.
right?
Smoke regardless.
They've been smoking.
Yes,
Ain't nobody missed a bud smoking session yet. And they're not going to.
And it's whether it's coming from Pookie and Ray Ray or it's coming from the dispensary, if they're going to get it, it does not.
But ain't none of them stood up and said, "Hey, I need a grocery store in my area." You can put a Starbucks on, what is that, 70? No, what is it? It's on Stony Island. 71st and Stony Island. You
Yes.
put a Starbucks there, that changes the whole dynamic of the neighborhood because that Starbucks, we're upper class now.
Well, we have Mariano's and Whole Foods, things
Right,
like that.
right.
We have those stores that
the resident can't afford to
our
purchase the
neighborhoods
stuff
can't
in there.
afford. Yeah,
I can go to the corner store and get a peach blunt, but I can't go get a fresh peach.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Yes.
That's a problem.
That's the reality.
That's a problem for me. You know, I mean, so it's just like, you know, I've lost way too many people to you know, prostate cancer,
Yes.
Yes.
you know, diabetes and things of this nature. You know what I mean? And that's because of what's in their immediate surroundings.
Obesity. I mean, these are things that we're facing, like, you know, and we talk about, and these are things that they're not being talked about like it doesn't matter. You know, we talk about jobs. Yes, we need jobs in our communities. Yes, we need resources in our community. Yes, but if we're not eating correctly, we can't get up and work the job correctly if our minds are not stimulated.
There's
the
a
way
place
we need
in
it
our
to be.
area
We're
called
eating-
Gotham Green,
Yes.
and they are growing fresh vegetables. And what happens, Mr. Peterson, tell us, what happens to those fresh vegetables that are grown from Gotham Green?
Yeah, they actually supply most of the greens that are in the Walmart right there, which was actually one of the only ones in the nation with a green root. So shout out to Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives for that, because you know they've been doing some good work as far as bringing the resource to the community. The only problem is a lot of the people in the community don't have adequate training to get those jobs. In fact, in Pullman, we have 12, well now 13, because Gotham Greens is just now opening a new factory in Pullman. So we got like 13 factories in the neighborhood, far south side. And they have a benefits agreement, you know what I mean, where they have to hire people from 60628. But we don't have the training that we need. So workforce development is so important. So, you know, the developers, they're their part, but they're not organically from that community. So they don't necessarily know the needs. They can have, you know, round tables from time to time, or they can have these, you know, community input sessions where they try to get information, but it's only coming from some certain people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not honestly the people that want to be there, because people have just given up hope.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have hope anymore. They're like, I give up. And now we become unconsciously cynical.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't even want to talk about the positive things that are going on. We just want, no, this ain't going on. I don't want to hear this. You know, and we can't blame people for being that negative, you know. But we need more outreach efforts. So there's always people who don't look like us coming into the neighborhood doing these studies.
Yes.
Doing these studies and this and that, right? and attached to those studies is a very, very hefty ticket that, you know, they get money to do these studies, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need people in our community doing those studies. We need young kids or elders or whoever.
But they won't talk to us.
No.
They won't talk to us. And I proof positive. Again, I told you, I've been in the neighborhood 25 years. When I first bought my house in the neighborhood, I was young and spry, and I was just full of vinegar, and I was going to do something. So I would go around, and I went to the Michigan Avenue Strip. All these businesses were there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to talk to them and find out. Even back then, I said, well, what is it that we need here? At that time, the Roseland Theater was still up and still had the marquee. Go ahead. I like the marquee. I'm like, man, I can open up a club here, have this nice, beautiful marquee. Like I said, I like jazz. So that was my idea. And I was trying to get some feedback from the store owners there, how they would feel about it, because the club would only be open in the evening time. Nobody would talk to me. None of them.
I know in our community,
I think because I got the wrong color.
We have to get away from think, you know, which I know a lot. Yes, there's a lot of people that just talk. There's a lot of people that, you know, they're just talk, and they're not any actions behind the talk. But I think we need to get away from that. We need to be more open to each other's ideas, things like that. Because, like as you said, because I've done that in my neighborhood. You know, I've done that. What is it? You know, I'm blessed to be able to speak with politicians and to go to Springfield and go have these conversations. Sit down with Justin, our state rep, and have these conversations that everyone can have. But if I can't tell, if I am that voice for the people, or I'm that mouth that has that end, if you're not talking to me about what it is you need or what it is, then how can we make it any better? You know what I mean? I want to just ask, this is kind of a rhetorical question, but I just want to get your views on it. And then I know you got your cards, so we're going to get your cards.
We hit a lot of it already.
what I always like to ask is just your thoughts of, so in a perfect world, let's take, because I travel down 103rd Street a lot. And if for anybody that's traveled down 103rd Street, it's almost a ghost town. It's a ghost town. So what can we do as a community, as Black people, as African American people? And I'm saying 103rd Street because we're all three here. We're familiar with that street. But I'm really talking every strip in Chicago that is predominantly us, that looks like that. What can we do to change a strip ghost town? What can we say to the community? What can we say to build entrepreneurs? What can we say to people to say, look, if you're thinking about starting a business, all the people that are over in Roseland and West, you're thinking about starting a business, come do it.
Well, I will say a proof of concept of that is my big brother of mine, Roe Davis, with the Bob Peterson on 79th Street. Him, Alderman Sawyer, who's one of my favorite authors, I'm gonna say, they're doing a tremendous job of offering a proof of concept of how to bring resources to the community in that vein. So he got the Bob Peterson right off Cottage, and then they just opened another one right off Yates. You know what I mean? So what they're doing is giving people the opportunity to come in, use the space for office space, get you a mailbox, business coaching, all of these different things. We need more models like that. And once again, that's kind of what the vision is for the Community Economic Development Empowerment Project, to force feed our community with these different resources, because we need more people with skills to come in and tell us what's going on, not people that just can give a good speech and they say, yeah, we need more resources. But like all of the people that have those skills, they working downtown. And by the time they get home, they get off work and get home, they tired. They just want to go home.
Yes. And because you got to get up and do it the next day.
Yeah, so we need more competence in our neighborhood. We need more people with the skills in these areas to come in and then give back to the community in that regard.
And we need those people, and I'm talking specifically to the residents. If you are a resident in any minority or poverty-stricken community,
don't say minority.
Okay. Well, okay.
We clearly the majority. And they keep tricking us.
You're right about that. You're right about that. You're definitely right about that.
Majority.
But okay.
Did a number on us, James.
Right? Yeah, they did. But in our communities, for anybody that can actually sit and say this need, because I talk about it a lot. This is the area and the lane that my Creator blessed me to be able to, assist in what you guys are doing, bring you here so we can get it out to more people. This is the lane that my Creator blessed me with. But I say it so much, we can all say as much as we want from our couches what we need to do, what we need. But if you're staying on your couch and not getting up and getting out in the street and actually trying to assist in what you feel that we need, then you're not assisting. This is my question. People in our communities, if you can say this needs to be changed, we don't have that, I'm challenging you to find the Roe Davis, find David Peterson, find Paul Collins, find Queenie Green, find Tyrone Muhammad, find Amina, find Donovan Price, find these different people, find the people that are a part of your community. Because I'm pretty sure that in just about all our communities, there's someone, even if we don't, they're not publicized, there's somebody in the community that's doing something, even if it's just one person. Somebody, get with that person, find that person, find out what you can do. Even if it's just on your off day, if all you have is an hour to give to your community, even if it's just an hour to walk around and pick up trash around the community, we need to do our due diligence individually, along with what our quest for politicians and things like that. And I can't stress that enough.
And we got to get back into humbling ourselves.
The village.
Because like for me, like I've been blessed to have several different mentors, Reeve Fellows, He was one of the founders of the, Black Agenda, Black Agenda Consortium, right? So that he's always been in my corner, kind of pushing me in different areas, making sure that I'm up to it. Because sometimes I remove myself, like, I don't even have time for this right now. I'm about to just do my thing, and he kind of has to keep me grounded. People like Harold Lucas, Paula Robinson in Bronzeville, who've cornered the market as far as tourism is concerned in the Bronzeville area.
Naomi, Mama.
Dave,
Yes.
all of these different people, these are examples of different people that we have to, ancestor, Baba Kwesi Ronald Harris, who's over at Chicago State, doing a lot of fighting. So we have all of the research, we have everything we need in our communities. We just have to, we need to go ask for help.
And we'll work together.
And work in the spirit of working together, you know what I mean? We got all of these holidays coming up, but how many people really gonna be talking about Kwanzaa?
I was just
so we got Kwanzaa coming up.
I was just getting
State.
into that.
That's gonna be that's gonna be on Chicago State this year. So we do that with the Black Mall, Chicago State Timbo, and that's coming up. So I would encourage everybody come to Chicago State. You know what I mean? Come see what it is, and I'll give you the date for that too.
Okay, but you know what? I was actually going to speak on that because I celebrate Kwanzaa, and
You just did a post and somebody asked your son, I think, what they're doing for Christmas. You said,
we were in the store, and they were like, well, what are you doing for Christmas? And the baby, he's like, we celebrate the baby's 3. We celebrate Kwanzaa, and it was shocking. Now we were in the Dollar General on 103rd, but African American Black neighborhood. We were there, and the baby's 3, and he said, we celebrate Kwanzaa, and the cashiers, they were like, oh my God. But it was shocking to me how shocking it was to them. And for all of this going, now I have this idea. I'm definitely going to talk to you guys, talk about what this idea that I have of something that's never been done before. And I am trying to have as many people as I could possibly latch on to this, because I think it's something that may be a possibility that it can grow. But that was something I was actually going to touch on, but we started talking about something else, that the things that are what is actually here to empower us and to wake us up even more, we shun it. It goes back to, and that was at that point where you were talking about how brainwashed we are and how everything has been taken away from us. We look down, so many people I see all so much. When you talk about Kwanzaa, they're like, nose gets turned up. Kwanzaa. It's like it's a made-up holiday.
Yeah, we celebrate Kwanzaa this year on Friday, December 27th, 49 in Chicago State.
Yep.
So it's free.
We'll definitely be
there. Get
there.
again.
Once again, Friday, December 7th, 4 to 9 p.m. in Chicago State.
You gotta send it to us, and then we'll repost it and send that out.
Definitely. And